Okay, Debbie, thanks for joining me today to discuss your candidacy for Board of County Commissioners here in Walton County. We'll start from the beginning. Tell me, where are you from?
From here. Well, originally I was born in Atlanta, but I've been here for many, many years.
Did you go to school here, or
No, I didn't.
you moved after
As
after
an
high
adult.
school? Gotcha. Did you go to college? Did you get right to work after high school? What?
I went to college I was joint enrolled as a junior and senior at Chattahoochee Technical College in Atlanta. Then I moved overseas and was in foreign service, and I went to the University of Chicago at Kaiserslautern.
Oh, okay, cool. What took you overseas?
I was a military wife, and I was
Okay.
in foreign service. I worked for the Department of the Army.
Very cool. Very cool. So, what year did you move to Walton County? Or-
Well, my primary residence was changed here 14 or 15 years ago, but I have been in Walton County my whole life, but as a part-time resident for over 30 years.
Okay. And when you got here, you just saw that there was a need for you to run as county commissioner? Have you served on any other boards or committees, or tell me a little bit about what
Yes, when I came here full-time this was my primary residence, somebody asked me to be on the Coastal Dune Lake Advisory Board, one of the, a county worker or employee, and asked me to serve on that board. I've been on that board for 11 years now, and I was chairman for 6. And I've worked very hard to protect our natural resources here in Walton County.
do you feel like we're doing a pretty good job as a county protecting those natural resources?
It's quite a fight, but yes, I do think we're doing a good job, but not good enough.
So on the Coastal Dune Lakes Board, what type of issues come before you, and
Anything that has to do with the Coastal Dune Lake Protection Zone. And the board is, one of the purposes of the board is to give the Board of County Commissioners recommendations on things that'll come before them that are in the Coastal Dune Lake Protection Zone.
when people are applying for a development order or a permit and their property falls within that coastal dune lake protection zone, there's certain setbacks requirements or other standards of construction that they have to abide by.
Percentage of the lot they can use, buffers on for houses that are on the dune lakes, or any building that is on the dune lake. There is a buffer. There's a percentage of the property that can be used, which includes your driveway, your stormwater, and all of that.
Is there a variance process within?
No, there is no variance process.
Okay.
The only variance that would be offered is for a hardship, and when we say a hardship, we mean medical, a serious hardship, not, oh, I really just want to build a swimming pool. That's not how it works. Yeah.
Right. And since you've been on the board, has there ever been a time when the Coastal Dune Lake Protection Board made a recommendation that the county commissioners did not follow?
Yes, there has been numerous.
Can you speak of anyone that?
One in particular is the building that was built on Eastern Lake in front of Old Florida Fish House. That was actually a stormwater basin for that property. The property was foreclosed on. And the bank owned it, and they sold off the common area to a private property owner. That private property owner then decided they wanted to build in that section, and that building was actually supposed to have been, there was a building that was in the original development order. And that development order, it was for the residents of the condominiums that were foreclosed on. And it wasn't intended for the use of a separate building to support a business and a residence and separate utilities, totally separate. And the county allowed that original development order to stand and allowed them to build the building that's there. And the building that's there does not even meet what the original development order was. And that property owner continues to violate code that is in the Coastal Dune Lake Protection Zone rules.
So, was a variance granted to that?
No variance has ever been granted in the Coastal Dune Lake Protection Zone.
it seems to me if it were a stormwater basin and now there's a structure there, there must have been a variance granted on some
No,
level.
it was an original development order that would allow for a building to be built to support the condos only, built over
Heron's
that.
Watch condos?
No, Eastern Lake Village.
Okay.
Eastern Lake Village. And, this basin would have remained in front of that. In front of that building, but they have built a much larger building for a totally different purpose than the development order was, and that was what we maintained.
And therein lies the code violation that it's.
Oh, no, the code violations are, yeah, anybody can go back and pull those, but the code violations are multiple, too many for us to get into here, but they are constantly under, code enforcement,
Scrutiny,
inquiries.
yeah.
Mhm.
Is that process working if they?
No, it's not working. In that certain instance, I do not believe it's working.
To grant code enforcement that leverage to, be active instead of reactive?
Oh, of course, yeah.
They do.
They're tying their hands now. Whoever it may be that wants that is tying their hands. I have had a code enforcement officer come to the Coastal Dune Lake Advisory Board meeting and explain to us that he is not out driving around looking for violations. And then there's a disconnect between several of the departments when there is a code violation that will result in not the correct answer when it comes to a violation. It could be either way. It could be that it really isn't a violation, or it could be that it is a much worse violation than it appears because there is a disconnect between the departments. And that needs to be, departments need to be opened up to have a more open communication between the commissioners and all of the departments and the public.
Surely the communication's not bottlenecked on purpose. Maybe it's just.
No, it's not. It's a, I think that it's just, this is the way we've done it. They're not opening up to any new, new ideas, and this person does their job and this person does their job, but the language of those two may not be the same.
I moved here 4 years ago. Been coming for quite some time, but moved here full-time 4 years ago, and it quickly became apparent only through buzz, the grapevine, the sentiment, when you talk to peers and friends, that there is corruption in Walton County politics and Walton County government. Do you believe that there is corruption in Walton County?
Well, I'm not a law enforcement officer, so I can't say that there is corruption. I think there's a lot of cronyism, a lot of nepotism going on, and a lot of control from outside sources. Now, if you want to call that corruption, then you can. But I think that there's a lot of things that are going on where there's people being hired that aren't qualified because they're related, people who we're not paying enough for the jobs that would bring in some quality employees and department heads, and a lot of hands being tied about things that they should be doing or could be doing because of the special interests that are going on.
Campaign finance has been a buzzword for this election cycle, probably every election cycle. Have you accepted any campaign donations from
Absolutely
South
not.
Florida developers?
Absolutely not. My only campaign donations are from family, friends, local residents, and one person that owns a real estate company who has had a personal issue with what he feels like his rights have been violated. It doesn't have anything to do with business. It has to do with his personal home and something that he feels like has happened to him. And he felt strongly about it. He wanted somebody that would be in there to be sure these kind of things don't happen to other property owners.
So I've talked to Teddy Stewart, Lisa Johnson, and Tony Anderson, asked them the exact same question, and those three candidates have received campaign donations from a South Florida development entity, a family, the Foreman family.
Well, among others, but
Among
yes.
others. Tony Anderson was quick to respond that the Foreman family owns real estate in Walton County, perhaps the largest tract of land in Walton County. Don't they have a right to donate to political campaigns?
Well, certainly they do, but their track record is not that they just own property in certain places. It's what they want to do with that property and what they expect the people they give money to do for them in order to develop what they want developed.
But Walton County has a comprehensive code, a future use plan, and
With variances.
with requirements that variance be issued if the requirements are met.
Well, no,
With-
no,
with
you don't
conditions
have to,
for-
you don't have to grant a variance. There's nothing that says you're required to grant a variance.
Okay.
And there is something called, in our comp plan, called neighborhood compatibility. And a lot of things that are being built are not compatible with the neighborhood that they're being put in. And our commissioners are not using the neighborhood compatibility component of our comp plan to be sure that our neighborhoods are compatible.
So you would feel comfortable if a development order came through the process and it made its way through all of the different committees before it gets up for a vote, and it's all the check marks are checked, and the variances that are being asked for meet the requirements in the comp code that must be met in order to consider granting a variance. It's my understanding that in the comp plan, in order to receive variances, there are written requirements that must be met in order for those variances.
To apply for them. Not for them to be approved, but to apply for them.
So, but it would be, you would be okay being the commissioner who voted no.
Absolutely.
When all of these items have been,
Perfect example, Draper Lake PUD. Draper Lake PUD, I would never vote for. I wouldn't vote for that. It is in a highly sensitive area, and anyone can go back to the record of the Coastal Dune Lake Advisory Board. They can go to the Draper Lake PUD paperwork that is online with their development order and see the very strong letter that I made a motion on the Coastal Dune Lake Advisory Board that we recommend against that development in its entirety, based on certain facts, and those facts are all laid out in that letter. At the TRC meeting, the Technical Review Committee meeting just recently, the chair addressed several of those concerns and addressed that letter, and that was continued for D.R. Horton, who is wanting to build this PUD, to go back and address these issues and explain how they are going to solve them. I don't believe they can solve them. I don't believe that that development belongs there. I don't believe it ever should have gotten as far as it's gotten. Now, people have the right to due process, but there are times when you just say, this is not compatible. These are the reasons why. Of course, they can come back with all the little pretty language they want, but that doesn't change the fact that it's not compatible and it's a highly sensitive area. We have a lot of highly sensitive environmental areas that need to be protected. And so that's an example of one I would absolutely say no.
I understand. That seems like, as I say this, hoping, here I am giving you my opinion, that it doesn't get approved. I agree with you. I think it's wrong. There's no neighborhood compatibility. Can you think of an example that's a little more nuanced where, something was approved that you would have voted no against?
Not right off the top of my head, I can't come up with a specific development order. I mean, I know the ones that I've worked on and ones that we've fought and won. I don't know of any right off the top of my head that I would have said, oh my gosh, I wouldn't have done that.
10-4.
I'm sure there's plenty of them, but I'd have to go back to my paperwork because I've worked on so many projects to either help them be passed or help them not. I also work for people that are responsible developers. If a responsible developer comes to me and says, I really want your approval, I need your approval as one of the Coastal Dune Lake Board, members or the chair, would you help us? There are times when they are being responsible. They are following all of the zone restrictions. They are giving back to the neighborhood. Then, responsible development, of course, but irresponsible development, no.
Mm-hmm. What would you say are your three main issues, if you can quantify them in just three?
Overdevelopment, irresponsible development. Of course, the Coastal Dune Lake Zone, but the Coastal Dune Lake Protection Zone is an example of all of our environmentally sensitive areas. Mm-hmm. South Walton and North Walton, and a lot of people don't know this, but Walton County has more fresh water than any county in Florida. We also have every type of water. We have the coastal dune lakes in the Gulf. We have river, springs, the bay, and freshwater lakes and brackish water. We have every type of water in our county, and I don't believe there's any other county that does in Florida. And all of those create environmentally sensitive areas. And so all of those areas are very important to me. Our farmland is very important to me. That's our roots, is farming. We have a lot of good farm communities in Walton County, and we need to protect that prime agricultural land to remain agricultural for true green fields. The third thing is, it's hard to say which is more important, but right now we have a big problem with vendors and everything that's going on the beach. And I think there needs to be some harmony brought back to the beach, whether it's through vendors, customary use, working with beachfront homeowners and the upland owners to work that out, which I would have suggested a little bit harder working on that before we went to court. I think there should have been a little more mediation process in that, and we maybe could have solved it if we'd had good code enforcement, good enforcement of trespassing laws. So I think bringing harmony back to the beach.
It sounds
the
like
third
any
thing.
negotiations between beachfront owners and customary use would have to include from the get-go people being able to use the beach.
People were able to use the beach.
Well, going
and things kind of spiraled out of control.
So
For many reasons. There's many reasons that created that perfect storm, and if all of those reasons had been addressed, we maybe could have. But instead, I think that some people's eyes were on other things, other agendas than that. And it should have been more focused on the people of Walton County than on the money. And greed. Greed's what's caused this problem.
What can you say about beach vendors or changes that you would recommend in terms of how we treat beach vendors?
Well,
how beach vendors treat us?
I served on the beach management committee for a term. I helped write the current ordinance that's there. Of course, that ordinance then goes to the TRC committee, the board, and then goes to the BCC. And what's happened is it morphed from what we suggested into what it is now. I talked to Philip Poundstone this morning. He served on the board with the committee with me at the same time. And, I addressed that with him this morning. I would like to see it get completely back to the way it was 15 years ago, before you were even here. Maybe it was right before the oil spill. Vendors vended from the top. If you wanted a chair, you ordered a chair, 2 chairs, an umbrella, 6 chairs, an umbrella, and you had them delivered to where you wanted them. And at the end of the day, those were picked up, taken back up to the top, and wherever the vendors took them, that's where they took them. Whether it was a storage building, a warehouse, their home, some of them still do that. But I don't believe there should be any beach vendors vending on private property that is a single-family residence. I don't believe there should be a permit issued for a single-family residence. I don't want them vending on the public beach unless it is from the top. I don't agree with that. The taxpayers of this county pay taxes for that public beach. We've got an issue with customary use, and the vendors are taking up all of that space, and the actual local residents cannot go down there and use the beach, not comfortably. There needs to be a middle ground. They should not be acting as security guards. They should not be running people off. They shouldn't be telling people, I have a permit here, you need to move. That's not that's not the spirit of what the ordinance is, and it needs to be brought under control, but it needs to be rewritten, and there needs to be some middle ground where there is harmony, back to harmony on the beach, tranquility and harmony on the beach.
And just to be clear, if a beachfront owner with private land wanted to enter into a contract with a beach vendor, you would be against that?
I would be against that, because basically what they're doing is they're selling season tickets to upland owners who rent their properties. And what they're saying is, I'm going to give you 2 chair setups or 6 chair setups for your property all year long. and you're going to pay me this X amount of dollars. It may be a yearly amount, a weekly amount, monthly. And we're going to set up your chairs, whether you have people there or not. That creates ghost chairs. Now, they get through the loophole that it's rented. That's not fair. That's not fair to the public. And a private property owner, that is not the spirit of the ordinance, is that me, as a private beachfront homeowner, can rent my property out to upland homeowners. That is a business that has been created in a single-family residence zoning. And that's not the spirit of the land use, and it's not the spirit of this ordinance. Plus, I'm not happy about all the boxes. We've gotten the boxes moved further apart, but it does affect turtle nesting. It affects a lot of things in our environment. They end up in the Gulf, in the outfalls of the dune lakes, and I don't want to see that anymore. I don't. Now, I'm not talking about Seaside, Watercolor, One Seagrove Place, Beach Crest, Rosemary.
You said single-family homes.
Yes, those are resorts. The Cabana Man has been in Seaside and several other places as long as I can remember. Is 40 years probably they've been there. They can correct me, but I think it's been about that long. And they do a great job, and I don't see any reason that they can't, because that is a resort. But it's different when it's a private residence.
Another issue that people talk about a good bit is traffic. What's the solution to our traffic problem? 98 has its own issues. The scenic highway in Miramar and 30A have
I wish
their
I
own
brought my
issues.
maps to show you, but of course, all of Walton County needs a mobility plan. There is a mobility study and a mobility plan that has been being worked on now for quite a while, and it's kind of like just sitting on a shelf. And this BCC has not moved forward with it. They don't really have a whole lot of interest in it. Planning
Yeah.
department has a great interest in it. We've got these problems. 30A, gets a lot of attention because all the Facebook posts and things that happen on 30A. But we have a lot of issues. We have issues on bottleneck over the bridge in Freeport, especially on Saturdays, coming and going. When you head out from Freeport towards Bruce, people have realized they can get off at a certain exit. I won't name it because I don't want to give it away. They'll get off at a certain exit, and the traffic has really gotten heavy between Bruce and Freeport because of that. So there are ways to look at where these traffic patterns are, and so and also there's a fire issue out there too. We need a fire department out there, but that's another story. But the whole county needs a mobility plan and a transportation plan. That mobility plan is excellent. There are a lot of ifs about it because it's not final. But that plan needs to be worked. We should have had a master plan years ago that would have solved this, but that plan needs to be worked. There's a lot of good interim ideas that will alleviate some of the stress, especially on 30A and in Freeport and Defuniak, a lot of places. And we need to get those interim plans in action so that we can solve the congestion problem.
Can you speak towards any of those interim plans, or even some measures in the mobility plan?
In the mobility plan, I don't know if you know this, but the governor has made it to where these scooters that are in all the cities in America, we can't do anything about those. Those are going to be here. They're going to come. So we got a plan for them. So there will be a lane that will be for autonomous vehicles, basically. So it'll be for golf carts, the vehicles that will be trolleying the visitors, or locals for that matter, up and down 30A, scooters, that kind of thing. There'll be a lane that's for beach cruisers. There's also a lane for cyclists, which is a different.
I'm just thinking, where are they going to put this lane?
Well, there's plenty of right-of-way to do that. And when you say, oh, well, my gosh, that won't work. Well, the road doesn't have to stay where it is. It can be moved this way or that way. There's places where it'll have to our bridges going over our coastal dune lakes and things like that. Western Lake's a good example of where we've built a bridge with the path across instead of right up on the road like it was, which it was part of the Coastal Dune Lake Board, some of our projects. But this mobility plan has great ideas in it, and the interim plans are in the places that have the most congestion and the most problem with cyclists, golf carts that are slowing traffic down. I'll give you an example. Between what I call Camp Creek Parkway, but it's Watersound Parkway now, and Seagrove. If you get behind a golf cart, you will have 100 cars behind you. And when I say golf cart, I'm talking about low-speed vehicles that are tagged. Now, those are tagged and they're regulated by the state, okay? Just like a car. They are a car. You can't pass that on a double yellow line. No matter how much they pull over, you're just like passing another car. That is a violation. And so people don't. They stay behind them. There has been several accidents recently. One where a woman was very injured extremely badly there at Deer Lake. And she was thrown, the golf cart flipped. And
Customary use, short-term rentals, how the TDC spends money, all of those seem to be wrapped up in a notion called home rule. Are you familiar with that idea, home rule? And you've heard it before, right? Mm-hmm. It seems to be the power of local municipalities to write ordinances and laws that control those issues I just mentioned. And all the current candidates, the current commissioner and other candidates, want to preserve home rule, and Tallahassee is eroding home rule.
Well, we need to keep home rule.
So, what can we do as a county to influence our state legislature to let us control these issues in our...
We employ a county lobbyist through contract, and that's something that should be top priority for her. The commissioners themselves should be over there, and the people of Walton County. If the people of Walton County want to be able to control the home rule and any other thing that they feel that Tallahassee should have note of, public outcry is the most important thing in lobbying for something that you feel strongly about.
So I think I know the answer to this question, but if on the agenda height restrictions ever came
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But it could come on the agenda very easily. And I have a lot of experience in this because we fought the percentage increase in the coastal dune lake protection zone for several years. And it was increased from 25% to 40%, give or take, very easily. And height restriction would be much easier. Now, there'd be a lot of public outcry, but they'd have a lot of good arguments to lobby about. And when I say good arguments,
good arguments for replacing?
The people that wanted it would come up with some good arguments that would sound really good until you really thought about it. And we're about our environment here. We're about our natural resources. That's what's different about Walton County than Bay and Okaloosa and South Florida. We are one of the only counties in all of Florida that does not have high rises. I think we may be the only one. But we won't only see high rises on the Gulf, we'll see them on the Bay. Just like when you go over the Hathaway Bridge in Panama City, there's a high rise right there. And you think they won't do it, they will. And they will have good arguments and they'll lobby for it, and it'll be that quick. 3 votes on the county commission, then the state has to approve any changes to our comp plan. That would be lobbied if they had the 3 votes, of course they're going to have the lobbyist work on that. So, that is a scary proposition, and it can happen very quickly, very quickly. And then people say, well, there's not room to do it. Well, there is. It's called an assemblage. You're a realtor. I'm a realtor. What they do is they assemble properties. They go in and buy multiple units till they have room to build something. You can look right across from Gulf Place right now. They built a big condo project. It meets the height restriction, but it's huge. Blocks the view of a lot of the Gulf Place homeowners. And all they did was buy 3 houses. 3 houses.
Should that project have been approved?
I don't believe that project or I don't know the name of it, across from Tom Thumb and Seagrove. Similar projects, similar building, similar height. I don't believe they're compatible with the neighborhood. And I don't believe they should have been approved. I think we should be working a little harder to find out, how we can not approve them to include neighborhood compatibility.
You know, that's one of the issues where it might open Walton County up for lawsuit if they acquired these 3 properties, the entitlements were there, they met all their stipulations, height restrictions.
Doesn't meet the neighborhood compatibility, bring it on. If you want to sue Walton County, they're going to sue Walton County anyway. We're going to have lawsuits anyway. Why not have them for something we stand for? We stand for protecting our natural resources and our neighborhood compatibility and the home of the people of Walton County. That's when we should fight the lawsuits. I believe that's when we should fight them.
Okay. Tell me what you think about the coronavirus response from the county.
Well, that is one of the things that sent me over the edge and told me, I wasn't going to run. I said, I'm not going to run this time. I'd had some illness and death in my family, and I said, I don't think I'm going to do that because I'd planned it. And when I saw the first meeting about Corona, all they talked about was themselves as the commissioners and the employees. Not one time in that meeting they addressed the people of Walton County. And that was when I said, if even in a pandemic, which we weren't a pandemic at the time, we didn't know it was going to get to that height. But of course they waited till the very last minute to even discuss it. There was public outcry that even got them to have a meeting. I said, if they are not even concerned in a health issue about the people of Walton County, then I cannot in good conscience not run for this position and sit through this 4 more years.
Would you be in favor for a mask mandate?
I don't believe that a mask mandate can be, and that's one thing I agree with them on, can be enforced. Like I said, I'm from Atlanta. I have 6 children, and 4 of them are in Atlanta. They have mask mandates there, but they cannot be enforced. I think that it should be the choice of the people to wear a mask. My sister is highly susceptible. She had a liver transplant, and we're thankful for that. Years ago, she has to be extremely careful. I haven't seen her in 30 days. Before that, I saw her one time, and before that, I haven't seen her in 90 days, because I can't risk that. And she's staying at home. She has things delivered. She's taking great precaution, and that's what she should do. I'm careful when I go in a group of people. I wear a mask, and I'm responsible and have that choice. I believe that I have certain liberties, and I should have those liberties, and I should be responsible enough to make that choice. And if I'm not happy with what's happening, I should just stay home.
So a little more personal responsibility.
A little more personal responsibility, but respecting the liberties of the people.
Well, I really appreciate your time today, Debbie. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
Well, I certainly want the vote of the people of Walton County. I want to be the next District 5 Commissioner and be their voice on the commission.
Yes, ma'am. Well, thank you very much for